Would I recommend it for $13? What's up, everyone? Welcome back to my channel. If it is your first time here, my name is Delana and it is Wear Test Tuesday, which means that we are going to be trying out a new foundation, testing the wear time of it, seeing if it falls apart or if it could be our new Holy Grail foundation. We are going to be trying out the Revlon Photo Ready Insta Filter Foundation. I have the shade 200 Nude, and the reason I picked this up is I have not heard one thing about this. I don't know if I've been out of the loop or what's been going on. I haven't been watching YouTube and like beauty videos as much as I normally do, so I may have missed the hype on this, but I was at Walmart and this was like almost completely sold out and I was like, what am I missing here? So I grabbed this shade. It was the last one left. I have already worn this foundation a few times because I like to wear a few times before I actually try it on camera, so that way I can have a more well-rounded thoughts on the product and really give a full review for you guys. So let me grab my primer. So I have been using the Tatcha the Silk Canvas Primer with this, but for the sake of the video, I'm just gonna try a new primer just for funsies. Not a new primer, but a different primer with this foundation. I'm gonna try it with the Origins Original Skin Pore Perfecting Cooling Primer with Willow Herb. Let's try this guy. But first, let me give you the lowdown on the product. So mine was about $13, I believe, at Walmart. It does not give the price on the Revlon website because I believe that it varies from store to store. The description of this product is our newest flawless finish foundation with built-in blender so that you have a perfected makeup look anytime, anywhere. Our innovative formula works with your skin type and evens and smooths your skin tone to leave you with a fresh-faced, natural finish. Full range of high definition shades. Full range of high definition shades, that is a lie. The high definition part, maybe not as much, but their shade range, look at this. There's like, what, 12 shades? There's 12 shades. It's not a full range. Alright, it has medium buildable coverage, all day wear, high definition filter technology, captures and transforms any light to blur and soften flaws. So it does have this little sponge tip on it, obviously, and the way that they say to apply it is just kind of dot some foundation on and then kind of blend it in with this, like whether you want to dab or kind of swirl, I guess, but you can blend it in with the sponge and it works with the sponge, but it's too much work with the sponge. I could apply it way faster with my beauty blender just because this sponge, first of all, it's a little bit stiff, like it's not as soft as the beauty blender, so it kind of feels like you're just hitting a stick on your face. And then also with this guy, it's kind of hard to get into like all the little tight areas of the face, like I've tried, and just overall I feel like I get a much smoother application with my beauty sponge. So I have a fresh clean one here. I washed all of my brushes and sponges last night and it feels so good, and every time I wash my brushes and sponges I'm like, I need to do this more often because I don't do it as often as I should. Like I said, I'm going to apply the Origins primer, so I'm just going to apply that to one side of my face like I normally do. Now what I don't understand about this primer is I'm like, is it supposed to be a smoothing primer since it says pore perfecting, or is it supposed to like minimize pores over time, like more like a skincare product? You know what I'm saying? Because whenever I put it on, I don't really see much of a difference in like the smoothness of my skin. So now I'm going to take the foundation, and the way that it works is it has like the little hole in the middle, so then you just twist it up and the foundation comes out like that. So I just usually do like a few stripes on my face, and I will say with this foundation, it has pretty good coverage. So I'll show you kind of what it looks like to blend it in with this thing. It's just like, it doesn't feel very comfortable on your face. Like whether I do swirling motions, swiping motions, dabbing motions, I actually feel like it's definitely like the sponge from the first time I applied it with the actual applicator to now that I've used it a few times and a little bit of the product has soaked into it and softened it and stuff like that. It's definitely easier. Like, I actually don't mind it as much. I'm still going to apply it to this side using this sponge. The only thing that I hate is that this sponge has a really, really hard edge. Like right here, if I'm getting in the tight corners, it leaves a line right here because of the edge of that sponge that I have to go back in and blend out, which isn't a huge deal, but just letting you guys know. Yeah, I'm actually liking the sponge a lot better than the first time I used it. And I really think that's due to just the product has now kind of had time to sit and soak and like dampen it a little bit. Because you know how the Beauty Blender is a lot more firm if it's not damp? It's just hard, like in these areas is really the main part. And it's not impossible, it's just that you gotta work a little bit harder. The first time I used this foundation, my skin was a little bit out of whack and a bit more textured than it is now. And then I didn't like the texture of it. But now I really like the texture of it. Now that I've been consistent again with my skincare routine and taking good care of my skin like I should, it's sitting so much nicer on my skin. Before I felt like it looked a lot more textured and now it looks super, super smooth. So that's that side with the applicator that it comes with, and I'm gonna do the other side with the Beauty Blender. Coconut, please stop. Just adding a teeny tiny bit more to this area. Wow, my dark circles are for real today. Like apparently they just got back from vacation. So I do feel that I got a bit more coverage on the side that I applied with the sponge on here because the product is obviously sitting and soaking in there. And I had to use a little bit more product on this side because this doesn't have the product in it, so it's gonna absorb a little bit of that, but that's just science. Just something to be aware of, that you might save a little bit more product by using the sponge that it comes with. All right, so like I said, I've applied this foundation. I've worn this foundation before, so I'm gonna go and apply my concealer and everything off camera because I have not had any issues applying my concealer or powder or anything like that over this foundation. So I'm gonna go off camera, apply that, and I will be right back. All right, everyone, so here is how everything looks all together. The only place that I'm really not liking it right now is on my forehead. I feel like it looks really, really matte and almost like, with my forehead wrinkles, it looks almost like it's just settling into all the lines, and it's like crackly and just all the ways that I don't want it to look. And that is one thing that I know already that I'm not a big fan of with this foundation. It just feels like it's a little bit more of a matte texture, and I just don't know how I feel about that. So right now it is 12:27. I am headed off to work, and I will see you guys in my next check-in, which will either be on my lunch break or right after I get off, so I will let you know. I chopped my hair off. Just kidding. All right, you guys, so honestly, I am about to do my last check-in, but I wanted to do one little check-in because I just got home from work and I just got done eating, obviously, because my lips are completely gone. But here's the thing that I have experienced with this foundation every single time that I've used it, that I am just like, why? That's such a weird thing for foundation to do. And it is this, like it separates around my nose like no other foundation. Like it gets so patchy. And even while wearing it, I even had a client ask me, she seemed a little bit unstable to me, honestly, but she asked me, she was like, why is your foundation moving? And I was like, because it's a drugstore foundation. I don't know, because this foundation, what I told her was that, oh, I've just been wearing it for a long time. But in reality, it's just this formula is weird and it gets so freaking patchy around my nose. And I realized not long after I applied all my makeup that I did not do the color corrector underneath my eyes, so dark circles aren't real today. And then also, I don't hate it as much as I did whenever I first applied it on my forehead, but like it looks a little bit better now that my oils have come up and stuff like that, but it's gotten quite patchy around here. And I still just feel like my forehead looks dry and just like not my favorite in the world. And then it has started to come off my chin a little bit. So all things considered, the texture of this foundation, it feels like so far is really, really nice. I'm just not sure about the longevity. The longevity doesn't look like it's really working for us. So that's where we are right now. I'll do one more check-in before we close out the video. All right, you guys, so it is the end of the day. I am ready to take my makeup off. I'm ready to crawl in bed and lay my sweet little head down and kick my cats out of the room. Really, Coconut? So one of the things that I wanted to do before I closed out this wear test is test how this would do touching up, because I feel like that's part of the convenience of having the sponge on the end here, is that it makes it easy to touch up because you always got your sponge right there with your foundation. So there is a little bit left on the sponge right here from earlier, so I'm just going to press that over my nose, kind of over the areas that need to be touched up, and see how it blends over my powder and everything like that. See if it's easy to touch up or if it just turns into a hot mess. Oh, okay. Got a little weird there for a second. Was blending a little weird for a second, but it's working. I think that worked pretty well. It doesn't look absolutely perfect, like it doesn't look freshly applied again, but it definitely smoothed out the texture a little bit. Even in my forehead area where I was like, yeah, this part is hopeless, like, no, it actually looked really, really nice. And on my nose is where I tend to have the most texture issues, and it seemed to have smoothed that part out the best, especially considering that I had put powder on my nose earlier today. So the fact that it blended over powder just fine. Did look a little bit like it doesn't look perfect, like right in here on my cheeks and my chin. It's like it touched it up, but it didn't make it look like, oh my gosh, fresh new skin all over again. So actually I do really, really like this. If you are somebody that is on the go, and especially considering that this isn't the most long wearing foundation, just like I said earlier, I think this is really, really great that they made it so easily accessible. So it's so utility. It's like a utility product, you know what I'm saying? If you're somebody who's on the go and you just need something to touch up with because you know that your makeup isn't gonna stay all day or whatever, or you just want something on the more affordable side and you don't mind touching up your makeup, this is a really good option, because just taking it and kind of working it in, I think that it actually worked really, really well. Like, I would feel okay going out to dinner, taking photos and stuff like that, looking like this, you know, after I've touched it up. Before I touched it up, it definitely needed some help. And I've tried it without powder and with powder, and no matter what I do, it always breaks apart and kind of gathers and does all the same stuff that it does, no matter whether I've set it with powder or set it with setting spray or set it with both. So would I recommend it for $13? I don't know. No, okay, I need to be realistic. $13 is pretty dang cheap. Whenever there are foundations that are upwards of $70, there are foundations that are over $100, you know? $13 for this bad boy is not bad, and I do like the utility aspect of it. Like, I could find myself, I'm not a big touch-up person other than touching up my lips, but I could find myself if I'm like, I don't know what today's gonna bring, and I really need my makeup to look perfect, and I needed like an emergency kit, I could find myself throwing this in there. Does everything look perfect? No. But does it look good? Yes, absolutely. So I would definitely say it's worth a shot. If you're somebody who has really, really oily skin, probably not. Honestly, I would say that this foundation is probably gonna fall apart on you just like that. But if you're somebody who is combo to dry, be a little bit careful with dry skin, because I did find this foundation to be pretty matte. So just do a good hydrating primer or a really, really deep moisturizer before applying it, and then maybe a hydrating setting spray on top, and avoid as much powder as possible. That pretty much wraps up my thoughts on the Revlon Photo Ready Insta Filter Foundation. So make sure that you check out some of my other videos here before you leave. Make sure to hit the subscribe button so that I can create more content like this for you guys, and sign up for one of my email lists down below, because what's the point of subscribing if you don't know when I'm gonna upload? And you will know when I upload if you subscribe to one of my email lists. So thanks again for watching, and I will see you all in Friday's video. Bye! What you want? What you want? What you looking at? It's my house. It's my house. So, been even smooth, and oh, one of the benefit is